Hey guys, Coach Carp with Carp's Gym. Today we're back for another home gym video. We're going to be taking a look at this all-in-one half rack functional trainer, Smith machine, chest press, pec deck, basically an all-in-one from Evolpow. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, stick with me because we're going to check it out.
Carp's Gym, I know you, unlike those other guys, use, abuse, and test that home gym equipment before you post your reviews. So make sure you are using your personal protective equipment because it can get medieval.
Look out below!
But did you die?
Now this machine has a lot going on. We've got a half rack, functional trainer, Smith machine, low row, pec deck, and chest press all in one unit. Now with all that going on, there are going to be some pluses and minuses. The old adage, jack of all trades, master of none. And I think you'll see some of that here. There's going to be some positives and negatives, and we're going to dig into some of those. Let's just kind of go over it here, just give you an overview. I've had it for a few months, and here's some of the things I've noticed about it. Now, it's kind of a three-part system or four-part system here. So we'll start at the front. On the front, you have mainly three things going on here. You have your functional trainer, which go up and down these two front uprights. You've got independent pulleys on both sides. These pulleys are a 2-to-1 ratio and a 1-to-1 if you combine them. We'll get more into that later, but we'll talk some more about that. And then on the uprights, these are also your half rack uprights. So these posts also share the J-cups, which these are kind of an interesting J-cup. This is the first time I've ever seen a J-cup like this. Normally you have an upright with holes all along the front. Here they've elected to do the holes on the side because they're using that upright post for the functional trainer, the Smith machine, and the half rack post, which is kind of interesting because you see these J-cups. They're not just your normal snap-in J-cups, which is kind of weird, kind of odd. First time I've ever seen these. Not sure that I love them, but they do function. They just go over that post and slide in. And then you have J-hooks, and the spotter arms work the same way, that they go right on the upright like that. And then the guide rods for your Smith machine are directly behind that, and their bearings, they just clip out and it goes up and down. And you're sharing those same posts that you're using on the uprights and the functional trainer. So there's a lot going on this front post, which is not my favorite, but it does function and it does what they say it's going to do. Then moving to the middle of the rack, you have a chest press, pec deck. You will need a bench. Can never have enough drink safety. To utilize the chest press pec deck, you will need a bench. They do have a package that come with the weights and the bench. They did not send me a bench, so I don't have a bench, but I do have my own bench. So in order to make this work, you will need a bench. To get that in there, you would just need to do something like that. Roll it in there. There's a knob up here on the top that you're able to do your pec deck because it keeps that top piece locked. So then you can do all your pec deck movements, and that's how that works. And then to go into the chest press, in order to do that, it will still do that. So what you have to do is loosen that bolt, flip it back, and then you're able to do chest press. So it goes up, you're able to do your chest press like that. Now this does feel kind of wide. I don't like the wideness of that. I would think you'd want a chest press somewhere in this area, or you'd want that to go up with you. So you can get in there. It's not too hard to get in there. I'm able to get my range of motion, but I'm getting full range. I'm all the way to the back, and that's right there at the starting point. But it just doesn't feel that great. Actually, I like the pec deck better than the chest press there. You roll that bench out, and then you have a low row down here, attachment point, that you can do all your low row movements. All on the back here, it has attachment storage, so you can get one of your attachments and clip it in there if you're going to do low rows or high rows. Now this is an all-in-one unit, but it is a plate-loaded machine. So your Smith machine, you just load the bars here. You just load weight on the bars on the Smith machine, and then around back, it has 2 weight horns, like 40 total pulleys. So there's a lot of different pulleys and a lot of cable that you have to run, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You just kind of start with the small end and run it through and then have the ball finish here. So who is this rack for? This is for someone that's starting out, looking for general fitness. This time of year, with all the New Year's resolutions and everything going on the first of the year, a lot of people are going to be interested in a rack like this that can do a lot in a small footprint. Like, first off, on their website, this is listed as a Smith machine. It's not listed as the all-in-one functional trainer. Like, when you go to the website and click Smith machines, this is one of their options. So they're really selling it as a Smith machine. And then even some of the other videos and stuff I've seen, I haven't really seen anyone doing barbell work off of this because there's not really a great way to do it. I mean, yes, it has J-cups and spotter arms and they're usable, but because where the Smith machine is located, it's so close to the uprights that you're going to be moving the bar. Like I'm 6'1.5", 6'2" with my shoes on. So you can see where I'm standing. You know, the height of this rack is like an 80 something inch rack. So it's not a full size rack, but it'll fit under a garage door. But this Smith machine, even if I put it all the way up and I'm trying to unrack a barbell, like, see my head, like I've got about this much space between my head and the barbell. And the same thing, if you put it mid-level, I'm trying to unrack a bar, I'm going to be hitting that Smith machine. Even if I put it all the way down, it's going to be at my shin or ankle level. So you really can't use it as a half rack. I mean, technically you can, but I would not suggest it for a half rack. The Smith machine I actually like. The Smith machine is okay. I mean, it's pretty smooth. It has bearings. I mean, no matter what you're doing with it. I even tried to see if I could cock it on one side, like put weight on one side and get it to lock up or jam, and it won't because the bearings are very smooth. So that's one thing I really liked about the RipFit Smith machine is it had bearings in there and it was very smooth. And then I prefer a Smith machine with these posts. They do offer another Smith machine that has the holes that clip in. I do not like that style of Smith machine. I want the one with the pegs, which this one does have. My two favorite parts are the functional trainer and the Smith machine. But as you'll notice, just doing that with the lighter weights on here, see at the light weights, it has a tendency to want to stop or lock up. See, it's very, very slow to go down. So if you put a little bit heavier weight on there, it's not as bad, but at the lighter weights, you know, under 20 pounds, you're going to have some stick in there, which is not great for smaller movements, like for some flies and things like side laterals. That you're not going to want those cables to stick on the way down. Now, what I did, and they recommend you doing this too, is I added some dry silicone lube to all the pulleys. It made it a lot better. It was way worse than before. It made it a lot better and more smooth, but it still does want to stick at the lighter weights. So if you're going to get one of these, whether it's this one or any brand, I would recommend getting some like dry silicone lube or something. And then the one thing they could do to make that better would obviously be upgrade to aluminum pulleys. These plastic pulleys are just not that smooth. Even with the silicone does improve it, but it's not the greatest. One thing that I also think would really improve this rack, if they want it to be a true all-in-one, and they're going to want to utilize the half rack, what I would suggest doing, like some other companies I've seen do and ones I've used, is move the Smith machine to the middle of the rack. That way you have more space on the front to do your barbell movements, which right now you can't really do that. And then what I would do is leave the low row in the back and scrap the chest press and pec deck and make that a lat pull down. So then you could have a higher cable, because on this functional trainer, you're only going to be able to get, even at the highest level, you're only going to be able to get so much range of motion because you're going to be sitting on the ground, which is not ideal. But what you can do is they could put a higher pulley here. You could get almost 5 or 6 more inches if they put a higher pulley up here and do your lat pull downs from the center of the rack. Then you would have a pretty good 1-to-1 high-low pulley and a Smith machine for people to use and a half rack that's usable on the front. That's what would make this rack a lot better. It's not bad. It's not the best one I've seen, but at this price point, it does have a lot of good features. But in this under $1,000 range, you know you're going to be dealing with 14 gauge steel, 2x2 uprights and things like that. And then some of these things like nylon pulleys or plastic pulleys that aren't the best. Yes, they function, but they're not great. What they do try to do and help you out is they throw in all these different attachments. There's a whole plethora of attachments. They have these cable handles that are pretty nice cable handles with multiple carabiner clip-ins. So you have, flexibility there. And then they do a rope pulley, a small bar, a lat pull down, and mixed curl bar because it has a mixed grip as well. Anklets, so you can do your leg movements with the anklets, as well as I said the J cups, the spotter arm. I forgot to mention was the dip handles, and the dip handles do attach the same way as the J cups. They just go on and clip on the same way that the J cups do, and you're able to do dips at the front of the rack. But like I said before, you can't use any other company's attachments. You're kind of locked into their attachments, which is also a negative because there's no holes along the front of the upright. So even before some of these budget racks I've had, I bought upgraded J cups. You can't really upgrade to buy the J cups because even the 2x3, there's no holes on the front. So if I bought something from Titan or one of these other brands, I can't use those J cups or spotter arms on this rack because there's no front holes all on the uprights, which is another negative that would make the half rack a lot better. If they want it to be a half rack, they're going to have to make some of those changes. If they just want to call it a Smith machine, that's fine. Just scrap that all together because there's no front holes anyway. I also have a pull-up bar, which I believe is rated to like 500 pounds, but you'll see my 280-pound frame, it makes it bend or wobble. So watch, I'm just going to do a hang on it here for you guys. You see how it hangs and bends, how it wants to bend and wobble. So that's not a lot of confidence in there, but they do have a pull-up bar. Another thing that would make it better too is if these pull-up handles were a little thicker. They're not that thick. So you have a handle here, but then you're just grabbing bare metal here and here, which is not the most comfortable. Either make this a little thicker all the way out or give yourself some other type of grip here because either get rid of these or add these, make it all uniform, which it's not right now. Like I said, under $1,000 with all the attachments and things with it, it's not that bad. But just be aware that you are going to have to either upgrade to one of those packages that include the weights or find you some used weights or other weights on the secondary market because this is a plate-loaded system. So whether you're going to do barbell work, Smith machine work, or just utilize the cable pulley, the low row, the chest press and all that, you are going to need your own weight to add to the bar. I did send these Evolpow dodecagon plates. They're the 10-sided plates. It has the weight increments on there with their logo. I have noticed that these are starting to peel off, and they do have quite a bit of a smell. I've had these for a couple months, and they still smell. So that's one thing to be aware of. But other than that, they seem to be high quality. They're well made. They have really nice coating on them. They seem very durable, but just be aware there will be a little smell with them. But they look really good. There's not going to be great for deadlifts, but there's not really any kind of deadlifts or anything you're going to be doing on this system unless you're doing like RDLs or something like that off of the Smith machine. So would I recommend this? That depends. Like I always say, it depends what you know or what you compare it to. If you're going to compare this to a Rogue, Rep, any of these other racks, probably not. But if you're looking at something in that RitFit, Major Ludi, Evolpow range, then it competes with those. It's very similar, but like I said, for me to want it and keep it around long term, I would want those things to be fixed. But it can definitely be beneficial to, a beginner, someone that's getting into fitness and utilizing all the things that it offers, because it does give you a lot of possibilities in one thing. And even the way I did it here, I cockeyed it and aimed it to the corner. So you could kind of put it in a corner in a basement or something like that. It had for low ceilings or somewhere in a tight space. You do get a lot of bang for your buck. So that's something to be aware of. Is it something that's right for you? You'll have to decide. Is it something that I would keep long term? Probably not. I would want a nicer upgraded rack. I would want something that's, 11 gauge steel, bigger uprights. One thing these type of racks do is make me want to get a bigger rack with all those things. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you found the video entertaining and useful. If you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments. I always have my affiliate links and everything down in the description. Please shop those if you're looking at buying any new home gym equipment. If not, and you just want to support the channel, feel free to drop a comment, like the video, or even go watch another video. We appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. Coach Clark, we're out. Go lift, baby. Happy New Year. Oh, wait, almost forgot. We got to do that drop test for Big Jonathan at No Fake 247. He dropped 135 on his Smith machine and broke it. Let's see what happens when we do 155. Look out below! We lost the weight off the weight peg in the back, but everything else was okay. Hey guys, Future Carp here. You just saw me do that drop, but I'm going back through some of that footage. I did that drop multiple times, and one of the takes, I just realized I thought some stuff fell off the back, but what actually happened is when the bar hit the uprights, it knocked the safeties off. So I'm going to show you a clip of that, show you what I'm talking about. Just something to be aware of. If that happens to you and you think your safeties are set, they could get knocked off by the jolt. So just watch this. Okay, I cut the sound. I'm going to do a voiceover. Watch me drop it right here. The bar hits right there and the safeties go to the ground. I thought something fell off the back, but what happened is when I went to drop it, that bar knocked the safeties loose. They went all the way to the bottom, and then I drop it here, and the bar goes all the way to the bottom, but there's no safeties. So just be aware of that. Now here's the live video with the sound. Look out below! Now, nothing actually broke on here, just some plates fell off, but something you need to be aware of.
There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
Did you die?